Welcome to the Jboy Show, hosted by Jake Crain, the fastest growing sports show in the nation.
I'm Coach Hugh Freeze.
This is Super Bowl champion Brandon Graham.
Hey, this is DJ Shockley, and you're watching.
And thanks for watching the Jboy Show.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for hopping in again. Got a great NCAA National Championship preview and going to talk some more hoops with a legend. There's no other way to put it. As usual, you're going to know the name when we say the guest. Super excited about getting him on. Was an unbelievable player, hell of a coach, does a great job now analyzing the game and does a lot of great charitable work as well. But before we get there, I want to give a shout out to our partners at betonline.ag. Head over there today. Online casino is always open. Major League Baseball season started. And like I'm going to say every time, take the overs and unders. Be careful with the spreads when it comes to baseball. It can get weird. I'm a big first inning, no runs guy when the aces are matching up. I know that's probably really popular, but I'd check that out. So head over to betonline.ag today and tell them that Jboy sent you. But like I said, unbelievably pumped to get this guest on today. You know him as a player, as a coach. Like I said, does a great job for ESPN as a basketball analyst and broadcasting. Coach Daniel Manning. Coach, it's an honor to have you on.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, sir. Well, I couldn't think of a better guy to bring on as we're steamrolling toward the national championship game tonight against two teams that everybody thought was going to be there. Their paths were a little bit different, especially last week for the Zags. And, you know, an interesting fact about you, your son is currently a GA at Gonzaga right now. And I know it's got to be a heck of a time to be on that staff right now. It
is. They've got a talented team, as so many people have witnessed this year. And he's loving it. Coach Few, his staff, treating them very well, and it's been a wonderful experience for him, and I'm very happy for him.
Definitely, and learning from a guy like Coach Hugh, obviously learning from you, a guy that, you know, knows the game inside and out, understands it from on the court and off the court. Being able to bounce things off guys like that just prepares you down the road. I was fortunate enough to work for guys when I was GAing. I understand that life. I understand how it goes and earning your dues in that deal, but you couldn't ask to learn from two better guys. But Coach, before I get to this game, you know, you won a national championship, you know, as a player, as assistant coach, and you know what it takes, the ingredients that it takes. Obviously had a ton of success, NBA All-Star. To you, in your mind, what does it take to be a championship caliber basketball team at the collegiate level? Because we know how crazy the tournament can be, and it's single elimination, baby. It's win or go home.
Well, this tournament has been a lot different just because of the logistics and format of it. So all the teams have been here in Indianapolis, and that changes the dynamics of it just a little bit. For instance, I thought one of the better experiences that I ever had a chance to be a part of was in 1986 and 1988. We go to the Final Four, and after we played that Elite Eight game, we go back to campus, and that was one of the most fun I've had.
Yeah.
I mean, when you go back to your campus and you're around all your friends and your classmates and you feel the energy and juice. So they missed out on some opportunities in regards to that type of experience. But, you know, for me, I think you just have to get lost in the moment. You know, it's not the NBA. It's not where the most talented team will eventually win out over the course of a series. It's whoever plays best or whoever makes the other team play a little bit worse in that particular game is going to decide the outcome. Or somebody's going to make a play like we saw the other night with Jalen Suggs. And so to me, it's just get lost in the moment. You know, you can't worry about everything that's going on. Do whatever you can to help your team be successful. If you're on the court playing, you got to help make plays. You got to execute your game plan offensively and defensively. If you're not in the game, you got to support your teammates and bring energy and juice that way. So to me, it's just getting lost in the moment and having a great time and realizing how fortunate you are to be on this stage.
Yeah, and we had UAB head basketball coach Andy Kennedy on. You talk about the logistics of the tournament. And I want to pick your brain on this because I think he's right, and I want to hear what you have to say about it. Do you think we've seen a lot more upsets? And we always have crazy upsets in the NCAA tournament, but it seems more prevalent this year. And I don't think you can blame the committee on the seeding. I think that's one of the toughest things to do, and that's why the tournament's beautiful because you get matchups you didn't think you were going to get. But not having to travel to crazy different places and being able to practice typically at the same place and staying in the same hotel the way that kind of the pandemic has altered this tournament. Does it help in not having as many fans? Because we know the higher seeded teams at the bigger schools typically tend to travel better. You have bands there and everything like that. Has that lent toward maybe these higher seeds, making it more even? Because I tell you, I can hear the squeaks of the shoes. I can hear the bounce of the basketball. And do you think that's had an effect maybe on some of these upsets we've seen?
I think so. I think especially for the programs and the players that have come from schools that have experienced the NCAA tournament, and they have a thought process of what it's supposed to be like. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
if you are at one of those schools that the band travels and your alumni base, your fans travel, and you've experienced that, then you come into this is going to be a little bit different. But one of the things I think is also needs to be noted is we didn't play a normal amount of games, right? And so like as a coach, you're breaking down your opponents, you don't have as many reps to look at. You don't have as many game film to break down. So I think a lot of that has to do with it too, when you talk about the analytics of the game. And then also, you're probably, to keep it fresh, if I was a coach this past year, you got to come up with different things throughout the course of practice to keep your guys locked in and motivated. So you might be working on different special situation type plays or different situations in practice a lot more than you have in the past, because maybe you're on a pause, then you come off that pause and you don't play again for a week or 2 weeks.
Very true.
You can't go into to practice every day with the same practice plan, because your guys are going to kind of get bored, if you will, and lock and not focus the way that they should.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's always the case, but a lot of times you got to do something different to keep their attention.
No, that's a great point. And at the end of the day, you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old kids too. That's another thing. And the moment can be huge. And before we get into this matchup tonight, I'd love to talk about both the coaches. Mark Few is a guy that has built that program, because we see how it is nowadays. There's nothing wrong with it. Coaches going other places, moving up, that's part of the deal. That's part of why you sign up for coaching. You want to end up coaching at the highest level and seeing what you're really made. But, Mark Few has done an unbelievable job building that program. And Gonzaga's had runs and stuff like that. And this obviously is, in my opinion, their most talented team. They're a complete team when you look at it. Then you look at Scott Drew, inheriting a Baylor program that was, for lack of a better term, on the verge of death, and being able to turn it around and build Baylor into, they're a blue blood now. They're a perennial dominant team. When you look at the Big 12, you don't think of Texas, you think of the Kansases, obviously, and now you got to throw Baylor in that mix. Can you just for a second talk about both these coaches, because they've both done it the right way too? Oh,
absolutely. Coach Few has been at Gonzaga for such a long time. He's built the brand, he's built the program. Him and Tommy Lloyd, his associate head coach, they've done a terrific job of bringing in the type of young people that they need to be a part of this program. And at the end of the day, you hear Coach Few talk and spend time with them, and he'll tell you, don't mess with happy. I am happy.
Yeah.
I am content. I like where I'm at. I love where I'm at. I enjoy the people that I work with each and every day. I enjoy the balance. I enjoy my lifestyle. So why would I change that?
Yeah.
It sounds like, well, wow, okay, I get that.
It makes sense.
And so now, what he's doing now is the selection process and the vetting process that they go through, and they bring in different players. They've done a terrific job of IDing the right type of transfers to bring in that fit into the culture and understand what he's all about. And then for Coach Drew at Baylor, that program was in shambles when he took over. You're absolutely right. It was on the verge of falling under the dirt. And he's done a terrific job of going out, and he's done it more so with high school players and building his brand throughout the state of Texas and getting talented players and really good teams. He's done it through creativity. For a while there, he had that funky matchup zone off, and now they're coming out, and they're a hard-nosed man-to-man team for the most part. So they've done a good job. And Jerome Tang, one of his assistants, has been there with him every step of the way. And those guys have done a terrific job. And so, to me, when you look at this year and what this year has meant to so many people, we're fortunate and grateful to have it, yes. But these were the best two teams all year by everyone's account. And so we missed out on the opportunity to see them play in the regular season because of a COVID situation. But now to get these two teams playing for the championship, I don't think you can ask for a better narrative or storyline coming off of this COVID year.
You're exactly right. And we've been talking about this matchup, and I almost felt like I was going to jinx it the more I kept talking about it. And you look, UCLA gave Gonzaga. I thought UCLA played as good as they could possibly play against Gonzaga, and Gonzaga just beats you. They just lean on you. They had guys that are hitting big shots. And when I look at both these teams, Coach, you look at Baylor, very physical, defense, like you said, man-to-man, going to extend you on the perimeter, going to make you make tough shots. And you look at Gonzaga, it's like poetry in motion when they're on offense. They get in transition. I think they do an unbelievable job of catching passes and cutting hard to the basket. I think Gonzaga does that better than anybody throughout the whole possession. When you look at these two teams, what are some things that stand out to you in this matchup that you think could make a difference? We know free throws, obviously both these teams do a pretty good job of shooting those, but are there some superlatives that you look at from your keen coaching eye and obviously haven't played the game that stand out to you that could make the difference tonight?
Well, you know what? Both teams do similar things well. You know, you talked about Baylor and their aggressive physical nature. Well, I've watched the Zags play pretty much every game this year, and they've got a physical nature about them. You know, when shot goes up, when the shot goes up, they hit bodies on box outs. When the ball's on the floor, they go dive for that loose ball, just like Baylor does. And then offensively, Baylor's very similar to the Zags with their ball movement and things of that nature. You know, for me, I've watched Gonzaga a lot more than I watched Baylor, but I have watched Baylor being in the Big 12 and playing against Kansas. And so, you know, to me, it's going to come down to very simple, who's making plays, because both teams have guys that are capable of making plays and who is going to impose their will defensively. And the thing about Baylor is they take their defense and they score and create scoring opportunities from that. But the Zags put so much pressure on you offensively that it's also part of their defense because they're coming down and they can reel off 3 or 4 threes in a row. Mm-hmm. Baylor's capable of doing that too. But offensively, you know, I think the firepower and where the Zags play from, this might be the first team that I can think of in recent memory where you could possibly have 5 guys playing in the NBA, and that's the starting lineup for Gonzaga. I can't say that about too many other teams. I'd have to go back and do my homework, but you know, when you look at that lineup, it's very potent. But then you turn around and look at Baylor, and a guy who does not get a lot of attention for Baylor is Mark Vital. And I think he is one of the most important pieces for this Baylor team. The amount of minutes that he plays, the impact that he plays with defensively and being in the right spot offensively, getting second chance opportunities, deflection, steals, transition, and he'll guard anybody. Yeah. He's a big key to this team. And so, you know, to me, I look at Vital, and then I look at Joel Ayayi.
Yes.
For Gonzaga. You know, he's the unsung hero. I've talked about him all year when I was with ESPN, and I had a chance to break that team down. And he's someone that he can play all 4 positions out there on the court. He could play the 5 if he needed to. He can guard all four positions. He scores it from the perimeter. He cuts to the basket. He facilitates. And the other day, he was just their leading scorer. Yeah. And he's the 3rd person or 5th person actually that you talk about in that starting lineup. Yeah. Because you're going to talk about Suggs, rightfully so. You talk about Kispert, rightfully so. Drew Timme, rightfully so. Nembhard, rightfully so. And then you get to Joel Ayayi, and he's just the guy who does it all for him, like so many different players. So I'm excited for this game. Obviously, I want the Zags to win. But I'm looking forward to seeing the champion be crowned because we missed out on that last year.
Yeah, that's a great point. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say Ajayi is the X factor on Gonzaga when you watch him because he does so many different things. The other night was shooting the ball really well. And, you know, when you watch from a coaching perspective, are you putting Davion Mitchell on Jalen Suggs and saying, here we go? Or are you going to put Davion Mitchell, on Ajayi, somebody like that to try and keep him from going to that next scorer? Because Suggs is going to get his. I mean, he's going to get his. He's so talented.
You know what? I would think both coaches at some point in time will use some switching defenses, meaning we're same size as Cross, they're just going to switch. Now, it might be a certain situation where a certain player catches fire and a coach will tell a guy, hey, Davion, lock in on Corey Kispert. He's made 3 or 4 threes. Don't switch off of him. Just make sure you communicate and let people know you're not switching. But I think a lot of the interchanges, these guards and perimeter players will switch a lot because if you don't switch, both teams are deadly from the perimeter. You know, Baylor's guards make shots, and certainly the Gonzaga team makes shots. So, you know, it's going to come down to the big man setting the ball screen and how are you going to guard it? Are you going to switch a guard onto a big and try to play that way to eliminate catch and shoot jump shots? Or are you going to try to hedge it and have that guard fight around and then that guard turn the corner with the ball and put pressure on you at the rim? So both coaches are going to utilize different types of defenses. They've got to change it up and throw different curveballs to throw each team off rhythm a little bit.
Yeah, and speaking about rhythm, if you're not having good rhythm when you sleep, you're not getting that good REM sleep, head over to sundayscaries.com today. The best CBD company out there. Again, if you have bad joints, anything like that, they do an unbelievable job. No games, no tricks, anything like that. I take 2 before I go to sleep. I'm able to sleep as good as I have. And you can also use the Jboy promo code and save 25%. That's JBOY. That's sundayscaries.com. Got everything with 100% money back guarantee in case you don't like it, which I promise you will. So head over to sundayscaries.com. Use that Jboy promo code. But we're here with Coach Danny Manning. I'm gonna call you Coach. That's just how I was. Man. You know how it is. And doing a great job for ESPN, breaking down games. And again, just a guy that understands it. Leading scorer at Kansas, one of the best to do it. Had a heck of an NBA career as well. And you bring up Vital. And I'm wondering if Baylor tries to make this game ugly a little bit down low, because while Drew Timme is really good around the basket, he has the best pump fake I've ever seen. I always say headbands and high socks at this level, it's a problem. Don't trust the first shot. The up and under's coming. But do you think Baylor's going to try and muddy it up a little bit? And in my second part of that question, if they do, how important is the way that this game is going to be officiated dictating? Because we all know Davion Mitchell went down with 3 fouls in that first half against Villanova, and you saw the run they made. Obviously, Baylor was able to kind of stranglehold him in the second half, only giving up 21 points. But how important is that matchup down low? We all know rebounds lead to transitions, long rebounds lead to transitions, sometimes offensive rebounds, and then how the game's going to be officiated.
Well, I think, with the way that Gonzaga plays, I think when Vital's in the game with one of their bigs, Martin Vital's going to be switching and playing more perimeter defense.
Yeah, okay.
With a normal defense. Now, if you want to go small and put him on Timme, you can certainly do that because he'll fight and he'll battle down low. I do think that the Baylor bigs are going to try to come in and have a, everyday John, Flo Thamba. Those guys are going to come in and try to have a physical impact with Timme. But the thing about Timme is once he feels your body, he counters off of you.
Yeah.
But you can't give him a steady diet of, I'm going to be physical, because he's too clever. And he talked about utilizing the head fake, shot fake, whatever you will, around the basket. So I do think they have bodies to throw at the Zags, but I also think that Anton Watson is going to play big pivotal minutes for the Zags, because when he comes in, they go to the big lineup when he's with Timme. If he comes in and spells Timme defensively, he can switch on the guards and stay in front of some guards. Kind of like Mark Vital, just to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And so, the chess match that the coaches are going to go through, when to change their ball screen defense, when to throw out the change up defense, whether it's some type of full court pressure to get you off of your rhythm, and things of that nature. I'm excited to see as a coach, because I know all these changes are coming, and just when they're going to utilize them and how, I'm really excited about. But at the end of the day, when you step out there on the court, you have to play the way the game is officiated, and you have no idea how the game is going to be officiated. As a coach, I can tell you right now, there are going to be calls that Coach Drew likes that Coach Drew doesn't like. And there are going to be calls that Coach Drew likes that Coach Drew doesn't like. That it's just the way it happens. So, you hope that the game is reffed in a similar fashion, where if it's a foul on one end, the same similar call is called on the other end. You don't want to come down to a situation and be the Baylor women's team.
Yeah.
End of the game, point blank, that official swallowed his whistle.
Yep. Yeah, that's 100% right. That's true.
That's a foul. And so, but they're not going to get all the calls right. And you just got to hope that you're in a situation that you can control your destiny. You can control what's going on. And the officials don't have a huge play in it, because you have enough of a lead to withstand that.
Yeah, it's a great point. And, I wonder, I'm watching Gonzaga, and they're dangerous whenever they get in their sets. Timme coming up, setting the high ball screens, the way that they cut, the way they're able to catch the pass. I think that's the most underrated part of Gonzaga's game, is not only do they cut, but their big men can catch the ball and finish. A lot of guys cut, not able to handle the ball. Timme can bend down and get it. Watson can bend down and get it. But when I think they're the most dangerous, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, you've forgotten more about the game than I have, but when they're in transition, they're deadly to me. And if I'm Baylor, Because I think and in football too, or in any sport, you don't want to change the way that you play, because Baylor's really good in transition too. But is there a part of you as a coach that says, listen, I don't think we need to, because UCLA stalled and balled, and they did it to Alabama. They're like, we're not going to get out and run and do all this other stuff. Now, Gonzaga was still able to run a little bit. You can never truly stop it. But do you think in the back of Coach Drew's mind, he's like, listen, I don't want to turn this into a track meet? Or do you say, hey, we're going to dance with the one that got us here. If it turns into a transition game, I'll put my guys against your guys and we'll see what happens?
I think it's going to be, hey, this is what we do. This is what we do.
Yeah.
Let's go play. Because that's what got you here. You know, you're not going to come into this game and all of a sudden implement a new game plan, something that you haven't done before. You don't have enough time to practice it. You don't have enough time to break it down and film and make all the corrections that you need to make. And so to me, I think this is going to be an up and down game. I think they're going to get up and down. Both teams do a tremendous job of pitching the ball up ahead in transition and attacking, and also scoring from the 3-point line, getting to the paint, getting to the rim. You know, the key to me is going to be who gets to the free throw line the most, who gets paint touches and draws fouls and gets to the free throw line and makes the other coach out of foul trouble. Now, both teams are deep. They're going to be able to come in and bring different players in, if you will. But, you know, a lot of it, you go back to the UCLA game and Jules Bernard gets in foul trouble and he sits out. Now, they have talented players that come in, but yet and still that throws off your rhythm just a little bit. So making sure that both teams play great defense with their head and their feet and nobody gets into foul trouble and it's an up and down game, it's going to be one of the best NCAA championship games we've seen in a while.
Yeah, and Coach, as we're winding down here, as a guy that played in this game, you said a word earlier in the interview, moment. That moment. Can you just talk about what it's like as a player? Because we all know the work that goes in that's not seen behind the scenes, you know, getting up early, the conditioning, not being able to do everything a normal college student is able to do, and really having to commit yourself if you want to win a championship. And you could tell these guys have done that. But what was it like for you before the tip, stepping out on that court in warmups, realizing that, hey, this is the biggest game of my life up to this point, and all the work it took to get here? Was that something that after the tip kind of leaves your mind and you're just playing basketball, or do you think about it during the game a little bit every now and then, maybe after a big shot, even after a miss?
You know what, before I even address that, I want to throw a kudos and an appreciation shout out to all the student athletes out there playing any type of collegiate sports, because what they've gone through in terms of the isolation, the bubble situation, the toll on their mental health has been something that the discipline that was needed for all these teams and all these athletes to play, it's something that I marvel at. Now, to answer your question, for me and our team, we were playing with house money.
Yeah.
Right? We walked into the situation and we weren't supposed to be there. We were a team that, you know, at one point we're talking about playing in an NIT, hoping to get an NIT home game. We're 30 minutes away from our college campus. We probably have more pressure on us from that aspect of friends wanting to catch up with us, people wanting to get tickets to the game, people wanting to hang out with you for a little bit, opposed to what you're going to do in the game. Because at that point in time in the game, you got to do what you got to do. And for us, it was play together, be unselfish, and it doesn't matter who scores. It doesn't matter who gets the rebound. It doesn't matter who gets stops, as long as we get them together as a team. That was a focal point. And then for us, in 1986, our upperclassmen, we were at Dallas at the Final Four. I didn't play well. We got beat. And that 86 experience helped prepare us for 88. Because the upperclassmen in 88 were like, listen, we got to maintain our focus. We got to stay locked in. And, you know, it's the Final Four. There's so much hoopla. There's so much energy around it. But yet and still, if you turned your TV off during 86 or 88, cell phones weren't what they are now, you know, at all. And so you could kind of isolate yourself from some of the hoopla and everything going around it. I think some of the hoopla was subdued this year because of the pandemic that we're in. And that nature. So, you know, I think the focus has been good for all the teams involved, because you're spending more time with your teammates. They probably spent more time with their current teammates than at any other time during their college career, just because of the situation that everybody is in. And so I think the understanding, the connectivity that they have across the board is something that we hadn't seen before because of the uniqueness of this situation. But at the end of the day, you just got to go out and play. You know, you can't put pressure on yourself to make shots. You can't put pressure on yourself to go out there and play perfectly, because that's not going to happen. The question is how do you bounce back? Do you think next play, or do you let the last play dwindle and go from, as Bill Self would say, from an anthill to a mountain?
Yeah.
And so understanding that the next play mentality is really important, and just go out there and leave it all on the line. And I know both those teams will do that this evening.
Yeah, and Coach, I couldn't let you go. I just got two more questions for you. Roy Williams announces his retirement from North Carolina. We all know what he meant not only to North Carolina, but Kansas as well. Can you just for a second talk about Coach Williams, a guy that affected so many guys, not only on the court, but off the court in such a positive way, taught so many life lessons, and just what, that relationship means to you?
What's really unique for me, because Coach Williams recruited me when I was a high school player in North Carolina. And I ended up going to Kansas, which was a great decision for me. And then Coach Williams becomes the coach at Kansas after I leave Kansas. And so every year in the offseason, when I would go back to our offseason home in Lawrence, Coach Williams was at the university. Coach Williams would open doors and invite me to be a part of the team, come back or work out with them, go play pickup basketball. So he's been a coach that recruited me. He's been a mentor. Somebody, when I've been in the coaching profession, I could pick up the phone if I ever needed to visit with him. He's been a competitor when I was coaching against him in the ACC. But he's always maintained a demeanor about him that he was just wanted to help. And I never played for him, but he always would do things to help me, or whether it was my family and the things of that nature. So the impact that he's had at Kansas, one, we really appreciate. 15 terrific years of great basketball done in such a quality manner. Yeah. And then you see what he's doing at Carolina, the championships he's winning and going back home. And so for me, the impact that he's had on the game, I am thankful for. I'm appreciative of him and what he's done for the game of basketball, but also, in the ACC, at North Carolina, at Kansas. And so, to me, it's a retirement well-earned. And I hope he spends all the time that he wants on the golf course, and certainly because those are the two places that he's going to be.
Definitely, and more power to him. And my last question for you, Coach: you playing in the national championship as a player, coaching in the national championship as an assistant coach. Are you more anxious for this one because your son is with the Gonzaga team that more than playing or coaching it yourself? I just find that I find that question very entertaining, and I'm not a father yet or anything like that, but that's got to be pretty cool. And I don't want to say nervous. I guess maybe that's the word, but are you a little more anxious for this one than any of the other ones?
You know what? I am, and a lot of it has to do with there's really no, I'm just a father. I'm a supporter. As a player, you feel like you can have some type of impact. As a coach, you feel like you can share some knowledge that might have some type of impact. But now I'm sitting in the stands with my wife and my daughter, and we're fans. We've got on our Gonzaga gear. And we're up and we're cheering, and you know what? It's been a lot of fun. Because it's to see a loved one in this situation on this stage with great people at a great program. And, selfishly, he's learning, he's getting better at his craft, the dedication that he needs to be able to commit to the team, like everyone has been impressive. So for me, we're proud parents, and, we're looking forward to another good game.
And you should be in it. I'm excited for you guys as well. And Coach, I really appreciate you taking some time. Can you tell everybody where they can find you on social media? I know you got a lot of big things, and your opportunity to plug whatever you want to plug here, Coach.
You know what? Well, I'm not, I have my social media stuff. I'll send you, I'll let you.
Just Google Danny Manning Twitter. You're the only, it'll pop up. There it is.
There it is, right there.
I love it. Prepared. He's a coach, 100% prepared. Oh, but yes, sir. But I really appreciate your time, Coach, and best of luck to your son in Gonzaga tonight. I know it's going to be a heck of a game, and like you said, I'm just glad we have it, especially after not having it last year. To me, it's the greatest postseason sporting event in the history of the world. It's the madness, and it's been a little extra wacky this year, but I really appreciate you joining us.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Appreciate you guys joining us as well. Head over to the jboyshow.com, get some of that merch. Subscribe to the Jboy Show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Got more great stuff coming. Enjoy the game tonight. We got the game that we wanted. And at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for. It's been another edition of the Jboy Show with a little preview. It's one of the best to do it. Coach Danny Manning and Jboy's gone.
The Jboy Show is produced by David Cohn, technical director Dave Hammock, Creative Director David Culbertson. Audio Engineer Feyzan Shareef. Production Assistants Blaine Crain and Kyle Orr. Executive Producers Jake Crain, Vince Thompson, Steve Chamberlain, and David Cohn. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website, thejboyshow.com, for updates regarding our newest apparel and merch designs. Win the water cooler with The Jboy Show.